One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector. One planet.
All right, hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful planet of ours. I'm Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector here in Seattle, Washington, the beautiful Pacific Northwest, what we like to call the Emerald City. I hope that wherever you're at in this beautiful world of ours, this resting planet of ours, that you are taking this time to disconnect and find a pause in life so you have that ability to reconnect and heal from everything that is going on. So I just want to say thank you for tuning into this morning's messages of Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, which is my 30-minute inspirational show for positivity, encouragement, healing, transformations, spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual gold for the week ahead. And then at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, we'll move into the Healing Cafe, where I have a direct message with all of the people on the page, questions, Q&A. We can talk about the planet. We can talk about what's going on. You ask for a card, mediumship, meditation, metaphysics. And if you want to learn more about the work that I'm doing, you can follow my work at marclainhart.com. I will put a comment section down below if you would like to follow, book a reading, check my articles out, get on my YouTube channel, all that good stuff. So let's move into the magic of the moment. Let's just take all a nice, deep, peaceful, calming, healing breath. Grab your coffee, grab your tea. Join me for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays as we discuss as above, so below, as behind, so forward. And what I wanted to talk about today is just everything that is going on in the planet. Everything that may be going on with you, whether it's a job loss, maybe you've lost a family member or friend to COVID-19, the protests and the social unrest that we see before our eyes, everything that's unfolding. And just coming on this morning just to let you know that this too shall pass. There are going to be some trials and tribulations. For those of you that follow my work, I talked about this specific scenario that we find ourselves in back on January 8th with my Psychic Predictions podcast through Om Times Radio. You can find that on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Podbean. And I talked about how we were moving into a big health crisis that would lead us into a financial crisis that then would lead us into a civil unrest and even possibly some sort of outbreak or conflict or civil war or revolution. What's interesting on what's going on in the world, and this got me reflecting about history. I'm when stuff gets a little chaotic for me, I kind of go in. I kind of I don't try to get caught up in all this stuff that's going on. I go more internal and to observe and just really watch people. And I've gotten to see some really true colors of people, which really surprised me, to be honest with you. Some that even proclaim to be in the spiritual pathways, to be spiritual teachers, to be spiritual mentors. I've been really surprised by some of the actions, some of the comments, some of the ridicule, some of the judgment. And it's just been kind of eye-opening. But again, I'm observing. And I just want to remind people that some of the most powerful souls, some of the strongest people, are those that have been sent to the darkest places. I do a lot of this work. We're going to be talking at 11:30 a.m. over on Zoom with my colleague Remitrus Davis-Wright from Norway. We're doing a level up series where we're going to be talking about injustices and talking about how the things in life have really changed a lot of us. And for a lot of us, I do this work because of the injustices, because of the trials and tribulations that I've gone through the traumas and the tragedies, or what I would refer to in life as the TNT that literally blows your shit up. And it transforms you, it gets you changing, it changes the way you think, it changes your belief system, it even changes your relationships with family and friends. And I found that a lot of us that do this work, believe it or not, have had some sort of pathway, a shaking that's caused an awakening. And I just want to remind you that the most powerful souls are often sent to the darkest places, but yet somehow we find a way to rise up, to inspire, to encourage, to help, to be in service. That's the work I do. This is what this show is about. It's about being in service. It's about giving my time freely to encourage, to help, to maybe plant a seed, to help grow. It's literally spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual transformations and spiritual goal. And one of the things that I kind of look back at on what's going on with our planet, what's going on planetarily, what's going on in numerology. If we think about as above, so below, some of you may have heard that concept before. Some of you may have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's a spiritual comment that those that are on the spiritual path, those that have had the awakening, we talk about as above, so below. And what that is, it's a motto associated with sacred geometry. And it derives from the passage of what we call the Emerald Tablet, which is attributed back all the way to Greek mythology, Apollo of Tyana. And it's literally translated into Our Father in Heaven, reveal who you are, set the world right, do what's best, as above, so below. And this morning I figured I would just talk about what's going on, because in the metaphysical world, what we see, and for those of us that walk in between two worlds, I see the physical world before me, but I also connect with what is unseen, very much like the spiritual wind, the wind that you see that moves the trees, but you don't see with your physical eye, or the air that you breathe that you need, but you don't see with your physical eye, or things that the microscope picks up that you don't see with your physical eye, or that what the telescope sees of the universe, which you don't see with the physical eye. So there is a whole world that is unseen, and there are those of us that have walked between these two worlds for many, many years. Some are just starting to awaken to this. Some are not, and still, walk life with their blinders on, which is, free will and choice, and that's completely fine. But it's something that I wanted to talk about as what's going on above, so what goes on down below. And there's a lot of conflict. It's even just hard to know what to say on social media. Thank you to my team for tracking any of the comments or any of the trolls or any of the bullies that get on here and try to disrupt and cause chaos. Very similar to what I see with the protests. You have people that are peacefully protesting, and then you have these anarchists that come out at night. They did it here in Seattle last night again. Somebody got shot. A car tried to drive into a bunch of people, and it happens at night. And again, you just have people in life that want to cause chaos. They want to cause anarchy. They want to see the world burn. But I believe that there are more of us that want to do right, that want to see a world that is unfolding, growing, transforming. Some of us have been looking at this for a long time, called the Age of Aquarius, the Great Awakening, whatever you want to call it. Some would maybe in religion call it the Rapture, because from my biblical studies of the Rapture is something different compared to what's in the Bible, being actually rising up into heaven and leaving your clothes behind, like the movies that were made in the early 90s. The Left Behind series, for those of you that know what I'm talking about. But today, it's what's going on is also a ripple effect that's taken place. What goes forward also happens behind us. And so that's today's message, just talking about what is going on in the world, how difficult it is just to even say, I've seen debates where, people get into the Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, the racial injustices, the racism, any kind of isms, racism, sexism, anything that has an ism behind it's usually not a good thing, whether it's based on your age, based on your religion, based on your sex, based on who you love, based on the color of your skin. And I've just been watching all the different debates and the different meanings. And I just want to remind people that we can all have different perspectives in life. But it's also about finding common ground and coming together, because in together we rise. And I just want to remind people, if there's something that I want to read called Something More Beautiful. And that's where my vision is. I predicted a lot of this with my psychic predictions. This is the year of 2020. It's also the year of foreign numerology, called the Master Builder Year. In order to build something new, you have to tear down old ways of being, old ways of thought, old belief system, old ways of doing things. And in order to move forward, which we will, this too shall pass, I do see the great coming together. And the three words I'll just keep reminding people: the great coming together, sustainability, and self-mastery. Sustainability to sustain through these unprecedented times, self-mastery to master yourself, to master your thoughts, to master your words, to master your actions and what you do in life and how you can make the change. But there's something I wanted to read this morning called Something More Beautiful. And as I look back at history, I realize that if we don't learn from history, those that don't learn from history are condemned to repeat it. And a lot of what we're going through historically right now from the past is happening right now in current times. And this little passage is called Something More Beautiful. If you are called on to give up certain things, if God takes these things away, then you have to learn resignation to his or her great love. You have to learn to be at peace within, knowing that God will bring something more beautiful into your life. And whatever God is for you, I believe that there are many concepts of God. I actually don't know what God is, to be honest with you, with my spiritual journey. But whatever God means to you, it's all about something more beautiful is building, and something more beautiful is coming. And what happens above, if there's a great transformation, so happens below. And what happens behind also happens in forward, and what's going to happen in our future. And when I was thinking about the phrase "as above, so below," a lot of writers and astrologers explain it to, the concept implies that the visible stars in the sky are linked to life on Earth, and that the microcosm and the macrocosm are connected. Everything is energy, everything is frequency, everything is vibration. So the human world is really relating to the larger universe because everything is connected. So as above, so below. As behind, so ahead. And one of the things, that is got my interest, to be honest with you, is the astrology aspects. So this is just some food for thought for those of you that follow astrology or numerology or metaphysics or spiritualism. The last time that Saturn was in Aquarius was during, and this was some years ago in the 90s, was during what we call the Rodney King riots, where people protested for about a week. We're well past that with what happened with Mr. Floyd and the injustice of what's gone on with him, but also 401 years of an open wound of slavery and not addressing racism. It lays within the United States, and it's been with us for 400 years, and it's coming to a reckoning. It's coming to a change where people are now protesting for over, I think this is the 11th or 12th day, which we haven't seen. But the last time from a planetary scale was when Saturn was in Aquarius. It was during the Rodney King riots. The last time Pluto, which is also representation of Pluto blowing up, equivalent to like nuclear bombs, nuclear weapons. The last time Pluto was in Capricorn was right before the American Revolution started. And Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2011, and it'll be in Capricorn until 2026, I believe, if I remember my charts right. And then the last time that Neptune was in Pisces is when Rome fell. What we have going on right now is all three of those events, planetarily, are happening in 2020. And for those of you that get into the fear and doom and the gloom and doom and the fear mongering, I'm not that. That's not what I'm here. This is not what my show is about. So if you're trying to promote fear, if you're trying to promote racism, xenophobia, anything that's morally hypocritical, please turn off my page. Don't follow my work. Don't be associated, because I don't support that. And right now, we're in 2020, which means we're going to have to build new, but we have to tear down the old, and that's including 400 years of thought process based on racism, based on equality, based on having a planet that treats people, as humans, beings, as one race, as humans, globally, not just here in the United States. This goes for around the world. And when I looked at that from an astrology standpoint and the numerology standpoint, I'm really not surprised that people have stood up and said enough. And we can do this. We can make change with our voices. We can make change with our voting. We can make change with protesting. This country was founded on protesting. I think people may forget that this country was, started with, succession from England based on the Boston Tea Party. And, for me, I think protest is part of our First Amendment right, but you can do it without violence. I don't believe that violence solves anything with more violence, just like I don't believe darkness defeats the darkness. The light defeats the darkness. The love defeats the hatred. And so you can stand up and you can make a change. And I'll be talking about this on the Level Up series. I'll put a link in the page. I'll be talking about this in the Healing Cafe. But we're going to be talking about the leveling up, the injustices of what's going on. I'm going to share a personal story of my own injustice and how the murder of my little brother changed and transformed me to do the work that I do today. It's going to be over on the Zoom platform. You can go to marclainhart.com under the events and get the tickets there in Eventbrite. It's free. I hope that you'll join us for a live discussion with my colleague and I, Remicius, as we try to level up and just kind of bring into awareness what's going on in the world. I'm going to be sharing a personal story of the injustice that was done to me. And I could have let that take me in a negative direction. I could have let that, take me into a hole. But instead, I chose to have it take me through a portal. So I hope whatever you're going through in the world, that you're limiting your exposure to what you see in social media or the news, that you are, having this decision of your free will and choice. Is this a hole that we're going to fall into? And we know that a hole goes down into a dark, deep, dirty place. Or is this a portal that we can walk through and we can all do this together and transform? There is great power in transformations. This is what we've been talking about for a long time for those of us that have been on the either the spiritual path or the humanitarian path. It is the Great Awakening. It is here, and there's still some stuff to come. But I'm not a fear and gloom and doom kind of guy. There's going to be a great coming together. This too shall pass, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But it's going to probably come with some more sacrifice and trials and tribulations before we actually get there. With everything from the injustices to what's going on with police brutality to how we treat and see other people. As I finish my shows, whether it's my radio show, my podcast show, Inspired Living Radio, my shows here, I always say be kind, caring, and compassionate. Through that, even in great times, great trials and tribulations, you can still find kindness and you can still have hope. And that's what my show is all about. And so I just want to say thank you for joining me today. Thank you for being here as we talk about as above, so below, as behind, so ahead. And one of the things that really got my attention was I personally believe in manifesting. When you manifest something in here in your mind, it's born twice. First in your mind, and then what you do in reality. So I'd watched a documentary about Ulysses Grant, the famous general that was Lincoln's right-hand man. And if you don't know your history about the Civil War and how slavery finally ended officially, but also gave rise to the KKK and the history of that, go back and be a student of history. You can learn so much. So after I watched this documentary on the History Channel, or maybe it was National Geographic, about Grant and his story and his trials and tribulations, a man not born of privilege, a man trying to provide for his family who rose through the military with great challenges to become Abraham Lincoln's right-hand man. And I said that I really wanted to read his memoirs. I wanted to get into his mind to see what he was thinking and what he was going through at the time of the Civil War, which it was a great divide of people against people, families against families, friends against friends, based on ideologies. Doesn't sound too far from where we're at right now, right? And so what I was going to do, I was going to actually order the books to read them, because I read about a book a week for, whether it's my radio show, I get books for, upcoming guests. And wouldn't you know it, when you manifest something, when you believe it, you see it, you can achieve it. And I said that I was going to buy the memoirs, and we had a conversation, and a dear friend of mine yesterday actually had the book. These are the actual books. I don't believe they're first editions, but they're very old, very, very old, 1886. They're written in, and these are the actual memoirs of Major General Ulysses S. Grant. The right-hand man of Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War. And he wrote these just before he passed. He finished his memoir. There's 2 volumes. I've got both of them that my friend Tom, thank you for allowing me to read these, and I'll be very careful with them. But what I had said was I wanted to read the memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant. And if you don't know who Ulysses S. Grant is, I would advise you, I'd recommend, go learn from history, because you're gonna see that what's a lot going on back then is still going on right now. And then, of course, I've got the actual life of Abraham Lincoln, another old book that he's allowed me to read. So I've got 3 books that I manifested into my reality, but I'm doing that because I'm looking behind, because as a futurist, as a psychic, I also look ahead. And I know that there's still great trials and tribulations to come for many of you, but I know that there's also going to be this great coming together and this great transformation as we move past the building year, the master building year of the 4 in numerology, to tear down and rebuild, because as we move into next year, the year of the 5, it's a lot more lighter year. It's a lot more rebuilding and coming together and correcting old ways of being in old systems so we can move forward equally as a human race. So I thought I'd just share that with you. I was pretty excited. I'll let you know how it goes as I read the memoirs, as I get into the thoughts of what great leaders from our past have dealt with when they've gone through a civil war or revolutionary war. And we're not much different, guys. This country was built on protest, but we can protest without violence. And a lot of what I'm seeing is peaceful protests, but they are people aligned to both left and right ideologies that are trying to cause chaos, civil war, anarchy. And I don't believe I don't believe they're gonna win with it. I think there's more of us than there are of them that want good, that follow the golden rule, the golden circle, we pay it forward. And I'm gonna stick with that. So I hope that you'll start to look at what's going on, not only in the physical world, but what's going on in the spiritual world, the world of humanitarian, as planet Earth is healing. I hope that we learn. I did a speech last week where I talked about, if you even look at the word earth, just take the word earth. The word ear is actually in the word earth. Are we listening? Are we going to go back to what we did? Are we going to move forward and change our behavior, change our mindset? The human condition, the human experience, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and materialistical. As above, so below. As behind, so ahead. It's all connected. It's all connected based on energy. It's all connected on energy and vibration. Everything is connected. And when you realize that concept, whether you're an atheist, whether you're an agnostic, whether you believe in God, whether you don't believe in God, whether you're a spiritualist like myself, everything is connected. Everything is symbiotic to one another. So what happens above happens below. What's happened behind is going to happen ahead. And we've got to prepare for that. So I just wanted to share that with you today. We're going to get ready for the Healing Cafe. Your number for the week, I'm actually doing this improv. And again, the Healing Cafe is where I will actually, I know some of you have been commenting, and thank you so much for tuning into today's show. But the Healing Cafe is where I'll actually have a direct conversation with you. It's like a spiritual box of chocolates. I don't know what I'm going to get until I get into the Healing Cafe. It's psychic, metaphysics, Q&A, spiritualism, mediumship. You can ask me questions. I do have a team that helps me out to manage the comments, so please be patient because I try to go in the queue to try to get to everybody if I can. Again, it's my way of paying it forward. It's my way of giving back. It's my way of encouraging and inspiring and maybe helping plant a seed for transformation or plant a seed for healing. I'm not a healer. You heal yourself. I can give you the tools to help you heal, but you end up healing yourself. The journey always begins with you. The only way out is in, but I hope that I can be a mentor or a teacher or a guide to point you in that right direction. So the number for this week, I'm just going to pick at will. Today I just wanted to kind of be spontaneous, not have really any script of what I do. And I'm just going to pick a card for numerology just to see what the resonance, see what the energy is of today. And the card for today is synchronicities. So the card number is 7 and the number is 8. That adds up to 15, which is also the number of 6, which is self-love. The 7 is spiritual truth, seeking truth, finding truth, hearing truth. 8 is the infinity, so when you turn the 8 sideways, it becomes infinity. It's all about manifesting. And like I said, when you manifest something, if you want to read the, in your mind, you watch a documentary about history, you're like, God, I really want to read those memoirs. And the next thing you know, you've got the actual, one of the first copies of General Ulysses S. Grant, Major General Ulysses S. Grant, memoirs that my friend is allowing me to read. Pulled it from his family library to let me read these. So that's pretty cool. So synchronicities. Synchronicities is also what Carl Jung would talk about, meaningful happenings. We as humans waste it away and say, oh, that's just a synchronicity, or that's just a coincidence. I don't believe that any longer with all of the things that I've seen unfold metaphysically, spiritually, that the synchronicities or the coincidences of your life is just another example that everything is connected. Everything has energy, frequency, vibration. Everything is symbiotic. So what we do to one, we do to another. What we do to ourselves and how we change ourselves ripples out to help change the world. For every finger we point out, there's 3 fingers pointing back at us. So it's a good reminder of where we're at in the world. And again, what happens on the microcosm and the macrocosm are connected, and the human world is related to the larger universe. That's what's going on. And the world is changing. The human species is changing, and again, this too shall pass. The great coming together is going to happen, and I hope that you join me for the Level Up series at 11:30 a.m. today over on Zoom. Tickets, I'll put the link down below or up above. You can get it off my marclainhart.com. Eventbrite tickets are there. It's free. I hope that you'll join us as we talk about the injustices of what's going on in the world, but also what we're going to do to move forward. Your crystal for the week, again, I'm just going to pick at random just to see where I'm drawn to. And I've got lipodolite. So lipodolite clears electromagnetic pollution and should be placed on computers to absorb their emanations. When lapidolite takes micro-like form, its properties are greatly amplified, and it is the most efficient mopping up tool. So it's, again, lepidolite, Lepidolite, lepidolite. It's easily obtained, United States, Czech Republic, Brazil, Dominican Republic. It's purple, a pink kind of stone, but it's also an efficient mopping up tool and really great for electromagnetic pollution. How is that for a synchronicity? We're seeing a lot of electromagnetic pollution, social media, the news. It's just in our face. It's like drinking from a fire hose. And I would advise you to take the time to disconnect and pause so you have time to reconnect and heal, because there's a lot going on. Get involved with your local communities. Thank our police officers. There are a lot of good police officers out there, guys. Do not let a few change those that protect us, the first responders. Get out and protest. Do it peacefully. You have a voice. You have a vote. It is your First Amendment right here in the United States. I hope that you'll celebrate that, because a lot of people sacrificed to give you that freedom. Because remember, freedom is not free. And what we are seeing right before our eyes, whether you see it and believe it, or you follow the emperor's new clothes, it's completely up to you. But I know what I see. I know what I hear. I know that I'm informed. And I know that there is a big battle that's taking place. As above, so below. As behind, so ahead. And that's where we find ourselves in the moment, based on being all connected. And how we connect and how we transform, we do it together, or we divide, and a new way of living takes place. So that is your numerology number for the week. That's also your crystal for the week. And the animal. Look at this. I just picked at random. I love the synchronicities. I'll be working with 8 decks today. Look at this. The eagle. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. The eagle represents the American flag. It represents freedom. Do the right thing. And you can make a change even when there's an injustice that's been done. And this injustice has been done to a lot of us. But even me personally, I'll be talking about this on the level up. The injustice of my little brother being murdered. And what I did to transform and to make a change with my voice, with my thoughts, with my actions, and with my vote. At the local level, the state level, the federal level. You can make a difference. And again, start to see it, believe it, achieve it. Or believe it, see it, achieve it, however you want to look at it. Start to manifest. Start to have that concept of what peace looks like. What does the world look like for you moving forward? How do we transform and how do we learn from the experience, whether it's COVID, whether it's the civil unrest, whether it's the financial crisis. There's a lot going on. I know that you guys are all tired, taking a lot in. So take this time to disconnect so that you can have the time to reconnect. Get out into nature. Nature's our greatest teacher, our greatest healer, our greatest inspirer. There's a lot of energy out there. And now we're starting to open back up. I actually get my hair cut on Friday, so I'm happy about that. But be safe, be informed, be healthy. But most importantly, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Remember, what happens above happens below. What happens behind also happens ahead. Learn from your history, and I'll see you over in the Healing Cafe. Thanks for tuning in today. Again, I'll have the Healing Cafe followed by the Level Up series on Zoom. I'll put a link down below in the comments, or you can go to marclainhart.com and just click on my events page, and that'll take you. You can get the Eventbrite tickets to get the registration for the Zoom live feed, where we're going to be talking about the injustices and leveling up and bringing the energy up, not bringing the energy down, and making that ripple effect that goes out. So thanks for tuning in. Until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and most importantly, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. I'll see you guys over in the Healing Cafe here in about 1 minute. Take care, everybody. Namaste.